Hi, I'm Frank Scarcello, and you're watching Frank Conversations on Thunder Bay Live. And today my guest is Councillor Frank Pullia. Nice to see you, Frank.
Hi.
So today it truly is a frank conversation, and we did not,
coordinate the shirts.
coordinate the shirts. It just happened that way. So thanks for coming in, Frank. And today what we're going to do is talk about the upcoming 2017 budget. Okay? And you're the budget chair, so you're the point man for the city. So you're the guy to talk to. So I attended a Westport meeting a few weeks ago, and Norm Gale was there, and I asked him, well, his message to the people was, it's going to be a tough budget. So that's out there now, so we know that. But I asked him, what are the two challenges? And he said, the municipal inflation rate and the reassessment of some of our large industrial taxpayers like Resolute. So my first question for you, Frank, is this municipal inflation rate. Can you explain what it is, how it works, and what the impact is?
It's an important point, and thanks for bringing that up. When we think about inflation, we think about the consumer price index, which is around 1.5% for the city of Thunder Bay. Most pensions are, go up at around that rate. So people on fixed income or people who are pensioned off, that's their reality, 1.5%.
Yeah.
So when they hear municipal inflation of 3%, they go, okay, I can't pay that kind of increases on my taxes.
Right.
So the municipal inflation rate is the same as the CPI, but for a municipality.
Right.
Remember, we have wages and benefits that comprise 70% of the budget.
That's the big
So
chunk.
if we have police and fire or emergency services going up by 2.5% or 3%, and that's 70% of your budget, you're already way over the 2% right there. And then you got legal, insurance, all the things that make a city work, right? It's been going up close to 3%.
Okay.
So in order for us to bring the tax increases below that, we got to find efficiency somewhere else.
Okay.
We got to find savings somewhere else. That's the reality.
So is it safe to say if everything stays the same, it's pretty hard to get a tax increase less than 3%?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't mean that we can't. Last year, the tax increase was 2.1.
Right, so below the inflation rate. So
Below the municipal inflation rate, still higher than the CPI. So what I'm talking to people, what I'm hearing is that 2% is sustainable, but 3% is tough.
It's getting up there.
Yeah.
Now, we know last year Resolute got reassessed, less tax revenue. Are there any other big industrial companies out there that are going through the process that we have to sort of be aware of and could affect the tax revenue?
Not to the extent of Resolute or the grain elevators, but I asked the finance manager who, we looked at the next 4 or 5 years. We looked at the trends. Are other commercial entities going to appeal? They appeal all the time.
Of course.
So those were unique circumstances.
Yeah, they're trying to reduce their
in terms
tax
of Resolute because of the recession. 2008 that really hit them hard. So they had a case going to take it to the appeal.
And we can't blame them. They're doing what's best for their shareholders, for their workers. So, and everyone who does their own personal income tax, so you try to pay as less as you can. Now, a little educational moment here.
Before we continue, we need to also say that the city lost over 50% of our industrial tax base.
Huge.
So we had the municipal inflation putting pressure on the cost side.
Absolutely.
And then we get hit, substantial hit.
Yeah.
We lost like 7, 8, maybe more $1 million on the revenue side.
Yeah.
So we got a double whammy. That's why the city manager was saying these are unique circumstances. That's why it's a tough budget.
So for education purposes, I want you to explain to the people out there the difference between an operating budget and a capital budget, because those are the two major components of the budget.
Yeah. Well, the capital budget is basically in your home, like, you got to fix the roof, you change the windows, you do your driveway, that's capital items. All right. Here we fix the roads, we invest in the parks one single time, one capital investment in roads 1 year.
Right.
Operation is your wages, benefits, your ongoing maintenance of providing the services, garbage pickup, providing policing, providing fire protection. All those are regular operation.
Operational, okay. Now, consider, can there be, in terms of operating expenses, can there be a reduction in operating expenses without affecting the services that the city provides to the taxpayers and the quality of those services? Can there be, or does it automatically mean a reduction in operating means there has to be a reduction in services or the quality of those services, in your opinion?
There is a third leg. So there are three legs on a tripod.
Okay.
One is services, taxes, and the third one is efficiencies.
Okay.
Which, in my opinion, having worked in the private sector, keeping in mind that the city is not totally identical to a private sector company, but we should be using business practices, best practices, wherever possible, meaning efficiency, doing things better, innovation, engaging our workforce to come up with better ways of doing their job, doing it easier, better. It's not doing less with more. We gotta get out of that thinking. It's not a linear thing. Either we increase your taxes or we cut your services. No, there is a third option.
Because it's I don't think it's fair to pin all of the heavy lifting on the taxpayer, because taxpayers, we all know we have to pay taxes, but there is a wall there, and I think these efficiencies come through something like a core services review, maybe something that I know the Chamber of Commerce has been there every year, core services review. Now that we have challenges, we have a new manager, is this the time to look at something like a core services review?
Okay, we need to make it clear that just because we're not doing a core services review doesn't mean that we're not doing anything. There's an ongoing operational review, which is much broader than a core services review. The core services review only says what is the core things that are mandated by the government for us to do.
Right.
Well, we did those core services review in the past. Other cities are doing that. And unless you have the political will at the top, you'll be spending money on consultants who come in without understanding the dynamics of your community, without understanding the culture of your community. Thunder Bay is offering good services, and we want to make sure they're provided at a reasonable cost.
Do we always have to bring in the consultants, though? Something like a core services review, we know what...
Well, see the challenge. There you go, the challenge. If you do it yourself, and you come up with a recommendation, and then people on the outside who want a core services review will say, well, they are not recommended to do that because they can't recommend against themselves.
Yeah.
So you got to bring the outside. At the same time, you don't want to spend money on consultants.
No.
So which way? So what I'm saying is that there is an ongoing operational review.
So
we continuously look at a way of doing things. There's a continuous discussion internally to find savings and better ways and engage our employees to provide suggestions how they can do their job better.
Right.
We want to give them the tools, because at the end of the day, the people who come to work in our city, they know best. The frontline operators know best of how to do their job. And the management and council need to work in cooperation with them in making sure that we provide the excellent services at reasonable cost.
Now, there was a online poll in a TV news source recently, last week, and it asked, excuse me, how should the city ensure it balances the budget going forward? Now, I know it's not the gold standard for polling, but people were only allowed to vote once, okay? So it wasn't somebody going, 100 times. So there was 327 votes, and the choices were raise taxes, reduce service levels, defer capital projects, reduce, excuse me, staffing levels. The results were 8% said raise taxes, probably not surprising. 9% said reduce service levels. 12% said defer capital projects. And 65% said reduce staffing levels. Do you want to say anything about that, or does that surprise you, or?
Doesn't surprise me. We're doing those on a regular basis. We need the flexibility to move where we need to go, and obviously if wages and benefits comprise 70% of your budget, as a minimum, you don't want to grow. The question is, can the city grow in terms of the city hall, meaning the number of employees, in an unsustainable way? We need to be sustainable. So the city has grown tremendously in the last 5 years, 160 new employees. Some of those are mandated programs. Some of them are things that we want to do. Crime prevention, coordination. We want to do the Aboriginal Liaison Office. There are 4 or 5 different new positions just on new programs that make, climate adaptation coordinator.
Right.
Things that make our lives better.
Absolutely.
We are investing in proactive management of the future because we cannot afford more floods. Therefore, we need the climate adaptation coordinator. That's money well spent. So it doesn't mean that we got to stay rigid. We got to be flexible in understanding how we can bring those services at a reasonable cost. That's the foundational part that I'm focused on. And if that means, curtailing, we're not saying cut jobs. We're saying we cannot grow as fast as we have in the past. We have to live within our means.
Absolutely. I think that's,
If people, the taxpayers, cannot handle the 2.5%, 3%, 4% tax increases, those are not sustainable.
No.
So we need to bring the cost of operation down, look at other sources of revenue, engage our partners in the federal and provincial level of government to come to the table to also do their part, and they have been doing a great job. So we are collaborating, and everybody working together and moving Thunder Bay forward, I think, is the solution. There's no silver bullet.
No.
These are very complex
Absolutely.
issues, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
Now you have an event coming up, a town hall meeting
Yes.
at the Italian Hall. Tell the people out there about it. And
November 15th, on a Tuesday evening, from 7 to 9, I'm going to have a town hall meeting at the Italian Cultural Center. Please come out, because we'll have 2 hours where I'll be making a presentation for about an hour, half an hour presentation. We'll go through everything. Where are we now as a city? Where are we going, and how we're going to get there? I'm going to talk about the strategic direction of the city. We're going to talk about budget directions. The projected, what we talked about today. We'll talk about investments in infrastructure, roads, sewer and water, and where are we now in that, what is the, you heard about the infrastructure gap?
Yeah.
Where are we? Are we making progress? Yes, we are, but we'll tell you more about it. And any other large issues that people want to talk about. Economic development, tourism, where is the revenue coming from? Is the city growing? How many houses are we building? Whatever. And that will provide an opportunity for people who have questions to go to an open mic and ask their questions.
Well, I think people will appreciate the opportunity. So good job, and we'll see you at November 15th.
Yes.
Hopefully we won't have to, I'm sure there'll be lots of room for everybody.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Frank Conversations on Thunder Bay Live. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.